everybody. It is Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. I am your host, Rockin Robbie. And tonight, I want you to take a moment and think because it is the 5th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special! That's right, everybody. Here are live in the Huntsville Attic, only on YouTube. Rockin' with Rockin Robbie, the 5th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. I'm so excited to be doing this for the 5th year. And I believe he was with us in the very beginning and every other Halloween special. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Jumpin and Jivin James. Whoa, yes! Woo!
It's good to be back, guys.
It's good to have you back here in the Huntsville Attic.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's not back here. It's here for the first time,
It's a brand new Huntsville Attic. That's right. That's right. You know, we've done, actually, it's been almost a different Huntsville Attic almost every year we've done one of these, but this one, it's a really cool one. It's nice to be here. Also, we have with us Alliterative Alicia! Woo!
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here and happy Halloween. Also, my co-host at Pop Culture Philosophers, Hammertime, Holshoe!
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, John.
Thank you.
You excited to be talking about Halloween?
I love Halloween.
You know, we have done a lot of these shows now. This is the 5th one, and we have kind of exhausted a lot of Halloween subjects. So tonight, let's get into something ghastly and macabre and something that's maybe misunderstood. We're going to be talking about the occult, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the spooky subject of the occult.
Cults are bad, man. I don't think we should join that.
Not cults, all cults.
Yeah, like I said, not that specific
A cult,
cult.
B cult, C cult.
This Kool-Aid is amazing.
So let's talk about the history of the occult real quick, guys, so we're all on the same page. First of all, it comes from the Latin word occultus, which means secret or hidden. The English use of the word represents knowledge of the paranormal, as opposed to measurable knowledge, okay, which is known, of course, as science. Occult practices can actually trace their roots back to mankind's earliest days, and in fact, occult practices are kind of what the beginning of science today, what it kind of harkens back to. Mankind notices patterns in nature, applies significance to them. You get what I'm saying? They understand the seasons, agriculture. It all started based on this kind of mythology. As science evolved, these occult practices of magic, divination, astrology, alchemy, spiritualism, extrasensory perception, and so on, they became labeled, of course, by the Catholic Church as heretical. You're a heretic if you practice these things. They tried to silence it, but from the 15th to 17th century, there was a resurgence of interest in the occult as a reaction to the rationalist Enlightenment. Maybe they wanted to bring some of the mystery back to life. You know what I'm saying? Interest in the occult has continued into today, and it forms the basis of many religions and philosophies such as chaos magic, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, Theosophy, Wicca, Thelema, and modern paganism. Common practices of occultists include tarot and astrology, evocation and invocation, meditation, and astral projection, just to name a few. And it's actually centered, the practice of the occult is actually centered on understanding one's own nature and place in the universe with the belief that will is the ultimate architect of reality. What do you guys think about the occult and a little bit about its history? Hammertime, Holshoe?
I think we just watched a documentary the other day called The Craft.
Okay.
That's why I learned most of it. No, I think it's cool. I mean, I'm not a big believer in the occult or any of that stuff, but I definitely I think it's cool. I like the concept. I'd like to believe, but I'm not a big believer.
Okay, so you're not a believer. Have you ever tried anything, like had a tarot reading or went to a psychic or anything like that?
I tried a Ouija board once with some people here on the show.
Oh, okay.
I think I might remember that.
Okay, Alicia, what about you? Any thoughts about the occult? Any beliefs, experiences, even?
I mean, it makes really good horror movies, you know, so that's really cool.
True.
Like the public perception of what the occult is made for some good horror movies, that is. Personally, I have a lot of respect for the school of thinking of theosophy. You know, I mean, it's it breaks down, you know, Theo being God, and then, you know, the Sophy obviously coming philosophy. So the study of God. And so the idea of theosophy basically is that all of the religions that have existed have kind of been like a spiritual evolution of mankind, and it's just a manifestation of that. And so basically it's kind of an idea that they might all be a right way in a sense. And so I think that that's one that kind of, you know, it's an idea that might sound scary, but in reality is, I think, kind of spot on.
All right, maybe we will shed some light on the secret of the occult tonight and make it a little bit less fearful for people. But of course, we're doing this because it is Halloween. It is kind of spooky to a lot of people. What about you, James? Does it creep you out? Does it spook you out? Do you have any experiences? Any thoughts?
It doesn't no real creeping out or anything, but it definitely is very interesting. Is in the way all kind of information about secret societies is interesting and
Yeah, a lot of secret societies. Yeah,
and it makes very good. Like Alicia was saying, for movies and books and short stories and things like that. I mean, you can throw anything you can imagine into that. And no one can really say, oh, that's not how it is, because who knows?
I know a lot of people, when they think of the occult and people that are into it and practicing magicians and stuff like that, and the Western esoteric tradition, they think of the medieval times and all that stuff. But there are still practitioners today. James, I think you did a little bit of study on the magician's altar and the tools. And kind of a little bit about that. I want you to elaborate, please. Okay,
well, there are the one major piece to start out with is the altar, which is made of 2 cubes. It can either be 2 cubes stacked together or just a long rectangular base that fits the same shape.
Okay.
And that's where you focus it, energy and everything starting out with it, and it has to be 36 inches high in particular, and I think 18 inches deep.
I know that there's like a lot of symbology and numbers and stuff like that sometimes, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, and ratios and
yes, absolutely.
Height and depth. And the 2 different portions of it, the lower portion being of the great love of work, the great work of love, and then the top being the will of the magician. And then he had 4 tools that he had to have present in order to cast his magic, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And each one of these actually represented a different element.
Tell us about them.
So you have the cup, which represents water.
Well, that makes sense.
The dagger, which is air.
Okay.
Because you swing and
slice through the air. Yeah. Okay.
And the pentacle, which is earth.
All right.
And it was, I think that also had to be specifically made out of beeswax, if I'm not mistaken.
None of your beeswax, my friend.
And then, of course, everyone's favorite magician's tool, the wand.
The wand.
Representing fire.
Ooh, the wand representing fire.
And there was definitely some interesting information about wands.
Okay, like what?
About how people would like to size them.
Like, do you get to go to the wand shop like in Harry Potter?
No, it was much more adult themed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no, just one of the random things that popped up in my research is that since it had also a very phallic nature to it,
yeah,
that oftentimes magicians would make it the matching length.
Ooh. I'm sure most magicians lied, though.
Probably
They're
so.
like, here's my 9-inch wand.
He's got a giant wand over there. Look at what?
Very impressive.
But then there's that one guy that has like the little nub wand. He's like, just keeping it real, man.
Just keeping it real. Thank you, James, for keeping it real with us. John, I think you looked a little bit into the practice of vibration and visualization. Tell us about that.
I did a little bit. They're both important to the occult. The vibration is the sound and touch, so it plays a bigger impact, especially for the non-believers. Visualization, though, is if you look into visualization, most people don't pay attention to small things, or they keep concentration long enough to catch those things, to see and feel the things others can't see. That's the focus of the occult to visualize. So they can focus on the small things, and they can actually visualize things they in their mind they want to project. And you see this a lot, actually, bring the visualization to reality. You see this a lot, not just the occult, but you see it in motivational speakers and salesmen. They use that saying, see it in your mind's eye and then see it in reality. But I guess with the occult, it's supposedly not only you're projecting this, but you're seeing it because it was there in the first place and you were overlooking it because you all have basically ADHD and are can't keep concentrating long enough to see these apparitions or whatever you want to call them. So visualization is very, very, very important to the occult.
Very nice, very nice. Now, I believe a lot of magicians get a lot of their information from books that have been handed down throughout the generations. Alicia, what can you tell us about some of the books of the magicians, the grimoires, I believe?
So the grimoire is an instruction guide of sorts on basically summoning or evoking energies, imbuing objects with magical power, or information on how to cast spells, if you will. The term, I don't speak Old French, you'll have to forgive me, grammaire, it meant all books written in Latin originally. And so that term kind of stuck around for it because a lot of these magical books were written in Latin. Grimoire then became used as a word meaning something difficult to understand, which was a very intentional thing from these magicians that were writing their books. They kind of enjoyed detailing their knowledge in a way that was intentionally confusing so that others who weren't very serious about practicing wouldn't figure out what they knew, basically. So they would say, like, you know, you have to do this at this time on this day with the moon is this high and this metal, otherwise it won't work, you know, kind of a thing that kind of made it impossible to actually attain the knowledge, but was just kind of there as a smokescreen, really.
So this knowledge was purposefully kept secret, even, you were saying?
Yes, most definitely. The magicians were kind of stingy about what they knew. You know, they didn't want you knowing what they knew unless you were actually devout, in a sense. Grimoires kind of first originated in Mesopotamia in the 4th or 5th century BC. Some notable grimoires are the 6th and 7th book of Moses. These were supposedly written by Moses and detailed how the biblical miracles were achieved. The Key of Solomon, it contains instructions on spells to evoke demons. Don't think of demons so much as like a, you know, like this horned thing, I guess, that, you know, comes after you in your sleep, but think of it more as like a vice or a negative emotion that you would experience. So it gave you information on how to kind of trap these negative feelings of yours in seals. There's also the Book of Shadows that was written by Gerald Gardner.
The Book of Shadows.
It's kind of the Wicca 101, you could say. And it's kind of made
I thought that was the craft.
Well, it's kind of made its rounds in those pop culture, like, witch type things. The Book of Shadows was used in Charmed. It's what the witch sisters had up in their attic that they consulted. You've also got the Necronomicon as one of the more famous fictional grimoires.
Yes.
H.P. Lovecraft created it. We all know that it ended up in eventually an Evil Dead. And
Oh, yes.
so I guess that's kind of a summary on grimoires, both real and false.
Absolutely. So there's a little bit of information, the guys, that we dug up on the occult, some of the secret knowledge of the paranormal. So, I mean, any of you guys believe that this stuff is possible? John? No?
I'm not. I'm a big Evil Dead fan, but I just don't.
Yeah, you just don't believe it. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't really. Of course, there's definitely been times though where I think I see a demon or ghost when I'm tired.
Wait, you think you saw a demon?
When I'm
You've
really,
seen
really
demons and ghosts, but you're not.
when I'm really tired, I get paranoid. So I'll like wake up and be like, "What the fuck is that?" Oh, it's
Just in your head.
yeah, it's in my head. So either A, it is in my head, or B, maybe I'm wrong the whole fucking time, and there's like demons in my house.
A lot of practitioners of the occult actually don't really believe in demons per se, but like that they're actual like things, like Alicia was saying, like energies within and without or whatever. James, any thoughts? Like, do you believe this stuff? Any that is possible?
I don't believe necessarily that there's, you know, any kind of super secret force going on. I think that maybe the act of doing something ritualistic and positive just kind of helps you focus yourself and things work out that way, maybe.
Yeah, possibly, absolutely. Alicia, how about yourself?
I guess basically I think that the things that you give power to are the things that are going to have power over you, and they're gonna seem powerful. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I could decide to worship this pumpkin, and if I think it's what's bringing me all the good in this life, who's to say that it's not the pumpkin that's doing it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything is possible. I think a lot of the psychological aspects of it too, but I'm not going to say that there could not be real stuff out there. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I read a lot of Lovecraft. I read a lot of fiction. I don't know. I believe anything is possible if you believe it to be. Absolutely. So that's what I think. But, of course, it is the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special, so let's get into some more Halloween-y type stuff. The number one thing most people remember about Halloween is candy.
Did you say Halloweeny?
Yeah, Halloween.
Okay, I just want to check.
Halloween candy. So we asked some of our listeners, what are your favorite Halloween candies? Here are some of the responses. Mike Finley said Reese Cups. He spelled it RECEE cups, and I don't know. I've never had those.
Well, he spelled it the way that you just pronounced it. Reese's. The Reese's.
Isn't it?
Reese's.
So he likes the cups made out of those cute little monkeys. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Stephen Sharple says he likes mini Snickers and Milky Way. Mark Lanier says Starburst flavored candy corn.
What?
I'm not even sure if that's really a thing.
They
I think
do
they
have
made that
Starburst
up.
candy. I've seen it.
James Donahoe says Crunch Bars or Milky Ways. Thaddeus House Tony says Reese's Pieces. Wait, Reese's Pieces. Reese's Pieces. And Jay Meek says anything chocolate. Thank you guys for your answers. Keep tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, guys. We ask questions all the time.
So basically, I just got that they just like whatever their favorite candy bar is, shrunken down.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Which, is not really all that great. I mean, don't you really want a full one?
Starburst candy corn is Halloween.
Yeah, that's
specific.
Halloween specific. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm not saying there's not Halloween. I've never had Starburst candy corn, but I know that there are Starburst flavored candy canes around
Nobody
Christmas
said
time.
that black
I think there's also
hard
jelly beans.
peanut butter candy that they always give out.
I
that wasn't
actually
on
like
the list.
that. I like that.
So you're the one.
People like candy corn, believe it or not, but people do not like the candy pumpkins, the little tiny ones that are like
Yeah.
candy corn. But
Oh
they're
yeah,
like
they're
the
just
pumpkins.
like wax and sugar.
yeah, wax and sugar.
Wax
That's
and
all you
sugar.
need, right? All right, we briefly touched on Ouija boards during the first conversation, so let's talk a little bit more about Ouija boards. I believe everybody here has had an experience with one of these things, like you played with it or something.
Oh, yeah. I used to own one. I got it for Hanukkah one year.
That's nice. Appropriate.
No, yeah. It's
That's a
It
nice,
is a true story,
When you
though.
have to give 8 days worth of gifts, I mean, it's
the
bound to
pickings
happen.
get slim towards the
Yeah,
end.
it's bound to happen. John, what can you tell us about the history of Ouija boards? A Ouija board? How do you what is it?
It's Ouija. You're saying it right. So it traces back to China in 100 AD. It can't be right.
And
I
they
think I messed
used
up the-
English letters.
I think I messed up the
Interesting.
date. I think 1100 AD is when it goes back. Anyway, traces back to China. The Song Dynasty. So whatever year that was, look it up.
What, the Song Dynasty?
Or
Yeah.
the song.
Like the theme song?
Well, it's
for
SONG.
Dynasty?
So is it just song? Is it pronounced song? Is it not pronounced song?
I don't know. I was just saying.
You're giving me shit for it. But it
No,
looks
I
straight up like
thought you meant the
song.
theme song to Dynasty. At first.
Yeah, not the song.
I don't
Okay, so they had what they called planchette writing, which is basically a little piece of wood. They pointed to letters. I'm assuming Chinese letters.
we still don't know what they're saying.
So it's been used in a variety of countries since then. It started there. It was actually used in China a lot, but it was eventually banned at some point in time. They got rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. They're banned in
So,
China.
but variations of that,
They're probably made there. though.
variations of that made it throughout the world, and eventually, the one we know today was actually created by Elijah Bond in 1890. He got a patent for it and started producing it in mass quantities. In 1901, an ex-employee for Bond, William Fold, who claims he invented it, but obviously he stole it from Bond, because Bond had the
Who
first
stole
patent.
it from the Chinese?
Yeah, who stole it from the Chinese. He started making it, and he gave it the name Ouija. He was told that it means good luck in Egyptian, but I don't believe it does. But that's what he was told.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So,
By who? By Spirit?
yeah, so he started that company. He started producing it in 1901, and after he passed away, his family sold the estate. The family sold the rights to Parker Brothers, the great board game Parker Brothers, who eventually was gobbled up by Hasbro. All the board game companies were about gobbled up by Hasbro at this point in time. So now Hasbro owns it. Hasbro owns the patents, even though the original patent, we won't get into that, but they own the Ouija name. 9 other companies do make a variation. They call it like Spirit Board or whatever. But the one we know and love, or the one we mostly familiar with, was Hasbro markets to kids to contact the undead.
Okay. I've had
Or
experiences.
the dead, not the undead.
Wait, the undead.
Not vampires, not
Yeah,
zombies.
you want to contact the undead.
Why not,
You can
man?
use a
Don't-
phone.
I know that I've used these things before in the past, and even when there was one time a friend had one called the Angel Board, where it was like, but you can use these to talk to angels, because people really get freaked out about Ouija boards, guys. They really do. Like grown ass people think that like buying this Hasbro board game will invite demons into their house, as if their own alcoholism and infidelity is not what's bringing demons into their house.
I'm not saying my mom's an alcoholic or that she's unfaithful, but I am saying that my mom told me last week that my Ouija board was bringing demons into my house.
Yeah, wow. People believe it. They actually do. Does anybody here believe that Ouija boards, you can actually speak to things with them? Anybody?
No.
No, not in that sense. Like, I think, like, if you... I don't know. I mean, maybe there are people that are actually capable of communicating with things that we can't see, right? And if they are capable of that, they can do it using whatever. And a Ouija board, like, Hasbro does not have the lockdown on talking to the spirit world. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
What about you, James?
Yeah. I definitely don't think that's how the dead and deceased are contacting us is through. Because, I mean, specifically, my Ouija board was glow in the dark.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that they're,
It was glow in the dark so the spirits could see it, right?
Yeah, because, they...
Because the lights were off.
Yeah.
Because the lights were off. The one I currently have glows in the dark, and the little, was it the planchette or whatever? It has like a little black light in it so that you can actually see it. It's really cool. James, have you used one of these things before?
Oh, yeah, nothing ever... I never got lucky to where... it accidentally made any kind of sense. Because I know it's some kind of medical thing where when people have their hands and they're trying not to move them, eventually any slight micro movement just gets turned into a big giant...
Yeah, it all starts building up and it starts moving.
Yes, it's an accumulation of kinetic energy, basically.
And that's what happened the last time I used it with you guys. Right, John? You remember that?
The thing slid off the table.
Yeah, you remember that, John? It slid off. And it
I
kind of
figured
creeped
one of
us
you
out.
guys were pushing it. But we were trying to get a name or something.
And then we all took turns taking our hands off of it and still getting it to move, remember?
It was...
I remember when there used to be a commercial for the Ouija board, and the whole ad campaign was always kids laughing and cutting up and being like, "Are you moving it? Are you moving it?" I remember that. I did have an experience when I was younger where I was probably like in first grade or something, and I'm at my friend's house at these apartments that we live in, and we're using one in the living room, and it's moving, and we're like accusing everybody of moving it. And then all of a sudden, the smoke alarm goes off in the house, and there's all this smoke coming from the back room. And I still to this day do not actually know what happened because I just took off.
Yeah, and when I was in fourth grade, light as a feather, stiff as a board worked.
Did it really?
I mean, what do fourth graders weigh?
Rockin Robbie, did you smell sulfur?
No, I did not.
Was any yellow powder on any of the doorways or anything?
No, no, not at all.
He did grab the salt, though.
So it was not a smoke demon then, no.
All right, guys. So now you know Ouija boards. Do they work? Do they not? Who knows, man? The point is, they're supposed to be fun. Are they going to invite demons in your house? I don't think so, guys. What John? Do you think?
I think it's so much fun that it's worth the risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. All right, guys. It's about time for our first break. But before that, I'm going to ask you the question of the day. Yes. Since this is Halloween time, the question of the day is: how important is Halloween? We'll be right back here on the 5th annual Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special after this break from Corn Bits. He's got the Corn Bits. Yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
We're getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Who couldn't use more corn in their diet? Try our crisp and refreshing cereal, Corn Bits. They taste delicious, and they're fun to play with. Hey kids, be sure to ask Mommy and Daddy to grab a box of our brand new spooky Halloween flavor, Candy Corn Bits. Sugary sweet and corn-tastic as well. Remember kiddies, that's Candy Corn Bits cereal. Available only for a limited time at your local grocer.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, the 5th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. I appreciate everybody for coming back. And remember, eat candy corn bits. Available only for a limited time. With me is Jumpin and Jivin James. Woo! Hammertime Holshoe.
Wee!
Alliterative Alicia.
Yo.
And this, of course, is our Halloween special. And we've been talking about the occult, but first of all, I asked a question of the day. So let's roll it down, if you will. What is the question of the day, you ask? How important is Halloween? Hammertime Holshoe.
I think it's super important.
Why is that?
Oh. I thought you just want the level of importance. I didn't know you wanted detail.
Why?
I love Halloween. I love the concept that I'm not a religious person by any means. I like that concept that this holiday that's supposed to be evil or whatever, or you dress up because you got to keep away the demons or whatever. I love the concept that this is celebrated by so many people.
Yeah.
That goes against everything they teach down here because there's just so many churches and all this. I think that's cool. I love Halloween because it's, as a kid, it was something I look forward to probably more than Christmas. That's the idea that you get to put on a costume, okay, and they give you candy. So it wasn't just Halloween specifically. It was trick-or-treating that I love. And I still love trick-or-treating. I love dressing up. I love candy. Those are the two of my three favorite things. Two of my three favorite things.
Yeah, and he does
rings.
He does that actually 3 times a month. He still goes out trick or treating.
I get weird looks from the neighbors, but it's not my fault they don't have fucking candy.
They feel bad. They think he's slow, and they give him something. Like he's gotten toothbrushes, socks.
Can of Spam.
Yeah.
I've actually decided to go ahead and start handing bags of candies to your neighbors. That way they'll have them in anticipation for you.
I should tell you which candies I like ahead of time, so you know
Perfect.
what to give my neighbors to give to me.
Alliterative Alicia. How important is Halloween?
Well, I think that Halloween is very important. It's a really cool time of year because, I guess the event itself, people dress up and they act a little crazy, and it's kind of the last hoorah of summer, to be honest. The nice warm weather, fun times with your friends, all that kind of stuff. It kind of comes to an end there at Halloween, and it's your last big bang, basically, kind of like the death of the seasons, and then into winter, and then you get the next year after that.
All right. Jumpin and Jivin James. How important is Halloween, sir?
It's supremely important because it's a holiday of imagination.
Imagination.
Pure
It encourages
imagination.
people to, for at least one night to go out and be different, be something else than they are normally, and have fun.
I agree with everything you guys say. I think it's important, and I think for those reasons, imagination, dude, that's a really good one. That's profound. But I agree with everybody. It's a supremely important holiday, and remember, it represents the harvest time when everybody is celebrating the fruits of their labor, the hard work that they've done for the year. The year's almost over. It's time to reap the benefits and prepare for the winter ahead. And I think Halloween's super important. We were talking about the occult, and we talked a little bit about the history and Ouija boards in particular. Ouija boards have been demonized in particular because of a movie called Witchboard. Everybody remembers that movie, right? Did you ever see that movie when you were a kid about the crazy Ouija board, bringing demons and all that stuff? A lot of people think of that, and they think it's like a documentary like The Craft. You don't remember that movie?
No, I
There
think
has been a Ouija movie that came out in 2014, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ouija boards are actually really trending right now. If you go to the Halloween stores, they got pillows, they got cups, they got blankets, they got all kinds of crazy stuff now.
You can meet Bob Ouija if you go on Wednesday nights.
Yeah. So the occult in film, and I think it's important to talk about this because I think it's very influential on people, not just pop culture, but just on people's lives. First of all, the occult has been referenced in film pretty much since the beginning of cinema. Mostly, though, as a warning against occult practices. These are movies that are about demons and witches and Satan, in which good must triumph over inherent evil of the occult. There was a soar in popularity in the 70s, no lie. The post-hippie, time, there was a lot of interest. They were questioning what they had been brought up on, religion and, the typical American thing. And there was this big interest in Europe and in America in the 70s about the occult. And a lot of movies kind of speak on the warnings against that type of behavior. Think of movies like The Omen, The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, James.
Suspiria?
Yes, Suspiria. Absolutely. James, what can you tell me a little bit about the occult in film?
Well, in film, I think it's is mainly more went with the demon aspect of it.
Yeah, not truly like what we were talking about what the occult actually is.
Yeah, there was no portrayal of, or not very many portrayals of the good witch or the good wizard, that was helping people or anything like that. It was mostly
Except for the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Except for there. Most times it was,
But a lot of stereotypes about witch
summoning
come from the Wizard of Oz movie as well.
yeah. Green with pointy hats.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite movies that deal with the occult? Obviously, you mentioned Suspiria, which is a fantastic
I
film.
like a lot of the Italian films are pretty cool back then. And there's quite a few of them there in the 70s, like you were saying before. But other than that, Evil Dead, because it does deal with a grimoire, which is
the Necronomicon.
Made out of human flesh.
Yeah.
Maybe even Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, okay. So, alliterative, Alicia. What are some of your favorite films about the occult?
I mean, The Exorcist was always a favorite of mine. It was kind of like the first foray of mine into like getting to go to the video store and pick out my own movie to rent. And I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I picked The Exorcist. And I don't know, it always kind of has spooked me out, but I've always found it kind of neat too.
When I was a child, The Exorcist terrified me, and absolutely did. I just was supremely scared of this movie. It speaks to like people that are raised in a, say, like an American Christian kind of view, a Judeo-Christian worldview, in a family that adopts that philosophy. And some films like The Exorcist are very, very effective. I think John, we recently watched The Omen, and one of the things you said about it was that it was scary because it seemed real to you. Elaborate on that about the occult in film.
There was no... So the first horror film that scared the piss out of me as a kid was Friday the 13th. It was like the third one or fourth one. It had Jason in it. We'd have already established Jason. And I lived out in the woods, so there was this very real, like, oh, there's a guy in a hockey mask coming to get me. But as I started to mature, I'm like, oh, these aren't real. But somehow, when I saw The Omen, when I saw Exorcist, I was like, well, that shit seems more tangible just because, or more realistic, because you didn't see... Okay, The Exorcist, yes, maybe, but let's look back at The Omen. You didn't see the kid actually do anything at all. You know what I'm saying? These people were getting hurt and stuff because he was a demonic child, or supposed to be Satan or whatever, or the son of Satan. But these things just occur, and you can't really blame it on anybody. They think that the kid is the one. I don't know, that somehow these accidents that are happening, it seemed, I don't know, it did seem as far-fetched. The idea of Freddy Krueger is my favorite villain in the horror films, but the idea of somebody's getting in your dreams seems a little more far-fetched than these accidents that occur. I'm doing air quotes on the fucking podcast. But I don't know,
John's
something
also
about
afraid
that.
of small
Something about that as a
children.
kid. And my parents were very religious.
So am
and I went to church, and they tried to instill that in me. It didn't really work, or it didn't catch on, I guess.
Yeah.
But it still scared the shit out of me. Especially, like you guys said, The Exorcist was probably the scariest of that type of film. But again, you get to see in more detail her transform and become this demon.
What's your favorite film that deals with the occult? Is it The Exorcist?
It is The Exorcist.
Okay.
That one scared me the most.
When I watch the Exorcist today, like I just think it's stupid. Like when I was a kid, it scared me. Like
Yeah.
it terrified me. But now I just think it's stupid. I really do.
It is kind of stupid, to be honest. When Lucifer possesses this child, the worst that Lucifer is really doing is being vulgar. And there's some like really horrifying things that are happening to this girl. But like overall, he's really just screaming obscenities at people that are coming in. And so. Yeah, looking back on it now, it's not a very good movie. But Tubular Bells, the theme is
it's fantastic.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
But the rest of the song does not sound so creepy. So it gets very
True.
hopeful all of a sudden.
It does.
No, Tubular Bells is great. It is creepy. It's a cool movie. I do like that theme. I think that's what scared me more when I was a child.
When she comes down the stairs backward.
Oh, that scared the piss. That freaked me out.
That's
Yeah.
only in the re-release, right? Like what they did in 97, I believe, or 2000, whenever they did that. 99, 70. I
Probably
don't remember.
99, I believe.
I would say you guys really touched on a lot of good movies there. Suspiria, obviously, is one of my favorite movies that deals with the occult, the Argento classic. But one that we haven't mentioned that I really like is Hellraiser. And it's because we were talking about, like, demon evocation and all that stuff. Like, what if it was real, and what if it goes
The box.
way wrong? Yeah, like Pinhead in the Cenobites, the way that the box, the lament configuration, like the way I just love it, and the tone of it, and the music, and the bells, and I just really think Pinhead's super cool. That's just, I don't know. I just think, I like Hellraiser a lot, too. I think that's a good,
It's
They
very,
missed
very
a-
bloody.
yeah. Well, yeah.
They really missed a marketing opportunity with Cinnabons,
Yeah, they did.
the Cinnabites.
James, why do you think there were so many occult movies in the 70s?
I think it came from the from the hippies, like you're saying, with a distrust issue. So it's kind of like, well, what if some of these thoughts and ideas you have about distrust are really true, and there is this very secretive organization behind all the bad things that are happening to you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like that. Alicia, do you think that a lot of these movies, if you notice, they have very like a religious subtext? It's not just about the occult without like a mention of some kind of like Judeo-Christian way of thinking. What do you think that has to do with it?
Well, I mean, typically it tends to be Catholicism. That's what really shows up in these.
Which, out of all the Christian religions and denominations, is the most ritualistic, the most like what we have learned about occult practitioners.
Yeah, and the most like, I guess, kind of recognizing of the idea that the occult is powerful. These are. I don't think that every Catholic person, believes in possession as an idea, but I know that there are a lot of Catholic people that do believe in possession as an idea, whereas that's not so prevalent in other denominations of Christianity, I would say. I don't really know. I guess just a post-Vietnam, world that you had a bunch of people that had experienced unrest, and maybe, I don't know, I guess maybe that's probably at the time when evangelism and televangelism really became about, and so I don't know, maybe it was just kind of a response to that.
And also a lot of sensationalist stuff, like you can lure people in by claiming to like pull demons out of people and cause exorcisms and all that stuff, right?
Most definitely.
John, do you think it's an attack, like basically that these movies are made and that the occult is painted so evil? Do you think it's kind of like a ploy almost to like keep people in line with religion? Because like The Exorcist, did it maybe not scare you a little bit into thinking maybe I should go back to church?
Oh yeah, I think those movies definitely are influential. If you're on the borderline, I think they've definitely probably did bring people to church. All those movies. I don't know. There's such this big like, oh, what was going on in that time, etc. I'm just wondering if like Exorcist came out and like this was really successful, and the other film company's like, we got to get on this, man. So sometimes it's not always look at the slasher flicks from the 80s.
But people are scared of the occult.
Oh, they are, and I think that hits people heart closer to home because there's a lot of people who do fear that in the first place.
Yeah, if you told someone you're a witch, like you get some weird stares.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen The Craft.
Have we all seen The Craft, James?
We've all seen that.
There's also, I mean, even Paranormal Activity, which is effectively just a jump scare movie. I mean, they have a Ouija board in that, it like catches on fire and stuff, and like,
yeah,
it's supposedly a demon that's been
Was it a
following
licensed
her.
Ouija board or was it the knockoff?
I mean, it looked pretty legit. Like it looked like it wasn't one.
They
that
just
sold
misspell it with a W.
Yeah.
Luigi
Yeah,
board.
it had a
It's
W.
Nintendo license.
There was a Q somewhere.
Yeah.
There
that
too,
would be
I think.
cool. I want a Luigi board.
I would. Nintendo needs to get
would
in
be
on that,
awesome.
man. It's just a Ouija board, but it's Nintendo themed. And Mario, you have a little Mario Kart you push around to the different things.
What I have learned is that the actual practice of the occult is not anything like the way it's portrayed in films, but it does make for entertaining films. It makes some really, really cool movies, guys. So witches are not necessarily evil in the real world, but it's fun when they are evil in the movies, right, guys?
Yeah, you need a cool
Oh,
bad
definitely,
guy,
definitely.
and witches work really well.
All right, guys, we were talking a lot about the occult and some films and all that stuff, but if you're sitting around having a movie night this Halloween, a horror fest like we have, hope you're watching on YouTube along with us. Anyway, maybe you want some snacks. Maybe you want some nice Halloween treats for everybody. Well, our resident chef here is Jumpin and Jivin James. What can you tell us about some Halloween treats that our listeners can make?
Well, a couple easy ones I was thinking about here would be, say, a witch finger.
A witch finger.
Yeah, you take a pretzel stick, a bugle, and then you dip it into Candy Quick, the white chocolate kind that you've dyed green.
Ooh, okay.
And then you can use a toothpick or something to make some marks on the end of it to make it look more like a fingernail, and let it dry.
Oh, very cool. What else you got?
You can make some seasonal haystacks.
Seasonal haystacks.
What?
You take some, you make some Rice Krispie treats, and basically before they've completely set, you cut them up real quick, and then you crunch up some shredded wheat, and then roll them in that.
Oh.
and then look like bales of hay, and then you can wrap some little strings of black licorice around it.
Oh, and he maybe even put some of those little candy pumpkins that everybody but Alicia hates.
Yeah, right on top of that, and make it look like a nice little set piece.
Oh, really cool. What else you got, Jane?
And another really easy one, make a nice little witch hat. Get those Keebler fudge cookies on the the bottom covered in fudge.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Hershey's Kiss, and then a little bit of that chocolate you had melted earlier.
Oh,
Just
my
stick that right in
goodness.
the middle of it. Boom.
These are brilliant ideas.
Yeah, we're actually having a Halloween party, James. You got to make the food.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
think we got a caterer now, everybody. Thank you, James, for those
no
tips.
problem.
I hope
Delicious tips.
You listeners should definitely try some of those. All right, everybody, that brings us to the thought of the day and our next break. Today's thought of the day comes from Peter J. Carroll, who was actually one of the founders of the modern-day practice of chaos magic. He says, "It is a mistake to consider any belief more liberated than another. It is the possibility of change which is important. Every new form of liberation is destined to eventually become another form of enslavement for most of its adherents. There is no freedom from duality on this plane of existence, but one may at least aspire to choice of duality." We'll be right back here on the Rockin' with Rockin Robbie's Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special right after this break, guys.
Come on down to Larry's Discount Halloween Emporium, where we have tons of discounted and exclusive costumes not available at your local department store, including, but not limited to, ninja costumes for kids of all sizes. Comes with one real working razor-sharp ninja sword. Or, be just like your dad for Halloween. If you idolize your old man, we sell a costume that will give you 100% dad accuracy. Comes with a tie, a beer, and a working razor blade to shave with. Don't worry, it's a safety razor. Safety is in the name. Or, how about the new electrician kit? Be an electrician just like your late Uncle Tony. Comes with wire strippers, a screwdriver, and random assorted bare wires. Be sure to shock your friends and neighbors with how authentic our electrician kit is. And lastly, our fire department and police department costumes are 50% off until Halloween. And our police costume is more authentic than the bargain toy store costumes. Ours comes with a metal badge and an accurate cap gun. But we didn't stop there. No police costume is complete without handcuffs and a taser. And ours includes the very same taser carried by our local law enforcement. That is 50,000 volts of fun. Remember, kids, these costumes are only available at Larry's Discount Halloween Emporium, located behind the abandoned Kmart on the Parkway. Open 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day until Halloween.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie, our 5th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special! Woo! Thank you guys for continuing to listen. Tonight, we've been talking a lot about the occult and Halloween and all kinds of cool stuff like that. And we're about to get into a nice, cool conversation about mediums, psychics, and seances. But before that, let's get to some more listener responses. We asked you what your favorite Halloween candy is. Brandon Whaley said, "It's those Tootsie Rolls, but the fruit-flavored ones, guys. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
The green and the yellow. And
Orange
the,
ones are
yeah,
good.
those are so good. The blue ones always mess me up because they're vanilla. They're actually not
I
a fruit
love
flavor.
the vanilla
Oh, I
ones.
hate those ones.
You don't, because you're misled because of the color, or you just don't like vanilla? Because that's my
I'm
favorite.
misled
He
because
hates
of the color.
being misled.
And I don't like being
I love
misled.
It
it.
I
should
don't like
be
the color.
freaking blue raspberry
Should
one.
be blue raspberry.
Or blueberry, maybe even.
Courtney Kashan said, "I'm a sucker for dots and Swedish fish." I'll tell you this, dots, those little boxes of dots,
Oh, I
I
like those
love
dots.
I'd put the whole box in my mouth and be like, an hour later, I'm still chewing. Nathan Huddleston said, candy corn, which a lot of people started saying, that's terrible, but Rich Partain backed him up and said, screw the haters, candy corn is awesome. Tommy Davis said, Starburst. George Rivera said, Rolo. And Lance Allen said, dum-dums, the little tiny suckers. You know, we give those out at the
Oh,
D.
yeah.
You know, people do love those for some reason. I do too. I like the mystery flavors.
Yeah, but it's not always a good flavor.
No, it's not.
You guys give those out?
Yeah. All right, guys. Halloween's coming up, and we don't condone any kind of mischief. But, of course, mischief night is a part of Halloween. And if you're sitting there munching on your treats at your movie night, and you're thinking, let's go out and cause some havoc and some mischief, you want some cool Halloween pranks? Well, John, tell them what they need to do.
I've got a couple here. One that I think is an easy one, especially if you have a bowl of candy. You put Skittles and M&Ms together. And just a small amount of Skittles. People are really surprised when they get a Skittle in their M&M.
That's the dumbest prank I've ever heard.
You told him not to be too mean
I like
and offensive.
it. I
so,
think it's
mean,
funny, John.
The other thing too is, and this is sort of a classic, is instead of doing apples, you do stick big onions on the end of a stick and you dip those in caramel, and people are usually quite surprised when they bite into an onion.
That's a brilliant idea. You got to get onions that look like apples, though.
That's disgusting.
Red
Maybe a
onions,
small
I
one.
think, would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, some people probably like it. I mean,
I don't know.
I actually tried caramel and onion together.
I thought caramelized onions were different.
Yeah, right?
You can also take a picture of your face, preferably smushed, and you put it in a mason jar, and you fill that with liquid so it looks like there's a small miniature like severed head in there. That's a cheap thing to do that you can put in a mason jar.
And you think that's a prank? Someone that's going to...
You put it in like the fridge. Put it in the fridge, man. Put it in the fridge at work. It's always a surprise.
Okay. Anything else?
When trick-or-treaters ring your doorbell, offer them assorted canned meats. Like maybe a can of Span, or that you can get a whole chicken in a can now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, give that to the kids. And I think the best one is what you do is you TP your own yard, okay? And when the kids come to ring your doorbell, you yell at them, be like, I know it was you little fuckers who TP'd my yard. I'm calling the police. I've seen you do it. And you do it to every set of kid that comes to your house.
Sweet, sweet redemption. That's a great one, John. I love that. Thank you, John, for those Halloween pranks ideas, everybody. And remember, don't hurt anybody when you do these things, guys, out there. And don't scare your grandmothers to death with the shrunken head gag there, John, right? They're already pissed off because they ate Skittles when they thought they were M&Ms. So we're going to talk about mediums, psychics, and seances. We've been talking about the occult. The big thing about that is psychics and all that stuff. We have psychic places here in town. Everybody has them. A brief history. Humans, of course, have been fascinated with contacting the dead since the beginning of human existence, you know. Cave paintings, all this stuff goes back, and we're just always obsessed with death and what's going to happen afterwards, right? So this dates back to the very, very beginning. Mediumship started gaining popularity in the 19th century. That's when Ouija boards started getting popular with the upper classes as a source of entertainment. Investigations, like paranormal investigations, started during this period. And a lot of people started doing real investigations and found out that a lot of these people were frauds, using tactics that were employed by stage magicians. The practice started losing credibility, right? And it's still rife in the industry today. There's still a lot of fake psychics and mediums, and tons of cases of deception and trickery even being discovered still today. But the practice, of course, is still associated with several religious belief systems, such as voodoo, spiritualism, spiritism, and Umbanda, and, of course, a lot of New Age groups. So a lot of people take this subject very seriously, but there is a lot of fraud out there. How do you even think that it's real when so much of it has been proven false? Alicia?
Because you're dumb? I don't know.
Okay, what do you think? Do you think it's real? Do you think these people are real? Do you believe that people can have ESP and, like, psychic abilities and can tell the future and stuff like that?
I don't believe that I can prove a negative. I can't tell you that God doesn't exist. I can't tell you that psychics don't exist.
Well, what do you think?
I think I can't say. Like,
Okay.
I've never had any personal experience with anything that I thought was any type of legitimate.
Do you believe in divination?
I don't know. I believe that I read the Harry Potter books and they went to a class called
Okay.
divination.
All right, then, John, what do you think?
Valid point for the Harry Potter books. I think that in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's so much as, yeah, there's dumb people, but there's also people that they so want to believe they lost somebody close, or they just want to think there's got to be more, and there's got to be something out there, and there's got to be a way to speak to these people. They're just so desperate. They're looking for any answers, and they'll grab onto anything. It's just they're desperate. They're sad, they're lonely, and looking for anybody that will answer them or assist them, and they're willing to take the chance and be, unfortunately, bamboozled a lot of times and ripped off because they want that so bad. You know, they lost their husband or their good friend who just happens to know, you know, where the secret treasure was buried. So they want, like, why'd I give them the key to my locker?
Yeah, right.
So people want to believe. So sometimes they put themselves in that situation because, I mean, they want to so badly.
Yeah,
and there's people always waiting to prey on those people, unfortunately, take advantage of those people.
Absolutely. James, what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't have any big belief in psychics or anything. And, I mean...
They believe in you, James.
Of course. Most people do.
Have you ever been to a psychic?
No, I've never been to a psychic. I've never...
Me neither.
Really
Anybody
seen
here?
The point.
Anybody here?
We should have done that for this episode.
We
should
should
have
have
went.
Maybe we should.
And then talked about it.
Maybe we should go. We should do a video maybe for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we should do that.
So you think it's mostly bogus, James?
Yeah, I mean, you hear so many things about how there's multiple people working the crowd beforehand for the medium, and feeding him all the information that he needs.
In the 20s, seances and all that stuff, spiritualism was really big and a real big deal. And of course, Harry Houdini was very famous for trying to disprove that and made it his one of his missions in life to disprove this. And it was because he got bamboozled because wasn't it his mother, I believe, that passed away, and he was trying to contact her.
Yes, I do believe so.
And he even said that if there was a way to contact our world from beyond, he would try to do it. And many people have tried to contact and supposedly have contacted Harry Houdini, but Houdini himself is silent on the matter. Anyway,
He is now.
yeah. But even Harry, I think a lot of it's fake. I really do. I think a lot of it's people taking advantage of people. That's what I think. On a lighter note.
Yeah, I was going to say, way to bring the show down.
Yeah, on a lighter note, it is Halloween time, and we've given you some tips, but we know some people got Halloween parties. Like John said, we're having a fun little PCP Halloween party. We'll probably have a video we'll put up on YouTube about it or something, but here are some tips for your Halloween parties. If you want to have a spooky gathering that's super fun, safe, Alicia's going to give us some Halloween party tips.
So everyone has heard of the whole, put grapes in a bowl and blindfold people and make them put their hands in it and tell them it's eyeballs, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
We used to do it every Easter.
Okay, so get a bowl, blindfold people, but use real eyeballs. I would recommend sheep or cow eyeballs. They're
Wow.
nice and plump.
Yeah.
Can you just purchase those at Best Buy? I guess you'd have to go to the grocery
I
store.
don't know.
I think you can go to Costco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Costco,
you need 'em in
or
bulk.
maybe
You can only
maybe
buy those in
the Asian market. Maybe they
a-
sometimes have some offcuts,
There's a really high markup on single eyeballs on the black market.
You could
especially if
also-
you request certain colors.
Yes, if you're particular.
If that doesn't float
Do
your
you
boat.
still blindfold the people?
Yeah.
That's a cool idea, because then they take off the blindfold, they're like, oh my god, they are.
It's real eyeballs. Yeah.
I'll prove it to you. I'll eat it. It's just a grape.
Watch out for the lens. It's really solid. So another thing that you could do if that doesn't float your boat is you could carve
On the off chance.
Yeah, you could carve self-portraits of, your friends could get together and carve self-portraits and jack-o'-lanterns, And that way you can line your porch with your friends' faces.
And you'd have to be a
fun.
really good pumpkin carver for that.
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, I do your best.
I have trouble just doing 3 teeth on my pumpkin, much less making it look like Robbie.
Three
Wait,
teeth.
3 teeth? Who does 3 teeth?
I think there's maybe
looking
a
at
need
this-
for
I was
a
looking at this
minimum
pu-
of
Just
8
for the
teeth.
record, there's a pumpkin to my right that's got 3 teeth, and I was using that as an example.
That's a McDonald's pumpkin. Come
Yeah.
on.
And does that pumpkin not look a little slow?
Yeah. That's
Don't
how
make
my
fun of John's
pumpkins.
pumpkin.
I can't even make my
Okay.
pumpkins look like that.
So you could also, a party classic is s'mores. So you'll need your marshmallows and your graham crackers and your chocolate bars, and then you'll want to make sure that you summon a fire from the depths of hell to get those marshmallows nice and toasty.
Oh, okay.
Or perhaps use your wand.
yes.
Ah, yes, the element of fire. Another idea is that you could stage a murder mystery dinner party.
Oh, that's a cool idea,
And
actually.
invite all your friends over. And if you actually did kill someone in this, make sure that you make the mystery really hard to figure out.
It's a good way great way to cover it up.
Yeah, it
Double
is
mystery?
actually.
Really hard to
We'll remember
figure out.
that for our Halloween party if someone gets killed.
Yeah, you just set someone up already. You framed someone, right?
Most definitely. I think that it was Professor Plum.
So, guys, I'm totally out on the Halloween party.
All right. So at our Halloween party, we're going to be having green punch. An idea is that you could spike it with absinthe and not tell anybody. It's guaranteed to have a party that they may not remember or may possibly never forget.
I think those are some good ideas, Alicia. Thank you very much. Some party tips. I encourage you to try at least one of them. I think we're going to go with the murder mystery. It was Creamsicle and Huntsville Attic with the baseball bat. All right, guys, another thing in the occult, and a lot of movies that are about the occult deal with, the Catholic Church, demons, all that stuff. It is known that the Catholic Church recognizes exorcism as an actual thing. Let's talk about exorcism, first of all. It's a religious or a spiritual practice of purportedly evicting demons and other spiritual entities from a person or an area they are believed to have possessed. The word exorcism actually comes from the Greek exorcismos or something like that. It means binding by oath. So
Okay.
depending on the spiritual beliefs of the exorcist, the exorcism is done by causing the entity to basically to swear an oath, or by performing an elaborate ritual, or simply commanding it to depart in the name of a higher power. The practice is actually very ancient and part of the belief system of many cultures and many religions. Requested and performed exorcism begun to decline in the United States, though, by the 18th century, and they were very rare until the latter half of the 20th century, when the public saw a sharp rise due to media attention that exorcisms were getting. A lot of people were videotaping purported exorcisms and sharing them, and there was actually a 50% increase in the number of exorcisms performed between the early 1960s and the mid-1970s, which of course led to movies like Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, The Omen, things like that. So, do you believe exorcism's a real thing, John?
I believe the Exorcist film is a real film because I saw it.
I agree. What about you, James?
No, I don't believe in exorcisms. I put a little more faith in modern
faith.
pharmacology and having to do with people having imbalances in their brain.
Okay, so you would just give them a pill, is what you're
To
saying.
get rid of the demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes.
And nowadays you just get rid of a pill with a demon. I mean, wait, what? Alicia, what do you think about exorcism?
I think, like I said earlier, it's one of those things that if you want to give it power, it's going to have power over you. And so you convince yourself for long enough that you're possessed by Beelzebub, and what's the difference, you know?
Thinking about how many followers of the Catholic Church there actually are in the world, there are a lot of people that believe exorcisms, that's a real thing. They believe in demon possession.
When did you say the rise was? In the 50s, 60s?
60s.
Do you suppose that after... so you had in the 50s, after World War II or whatever, you've got this people are getting cars, there was this money pumped back into America again. Do you think the advent of like not camcorders, but like 8mm cameras and stuff, now you're getting these recordings shared, and that's maybe that were happening before, but you're just getting it shared more?
We've seen them, and they're very dramatic.
Yeah.
Some of these things. They're like very dramatic and very convincing, right?
Yeah.
So like, absolutely. And here's a question then. We've talked a lot about occult stuff tonight, and at the beginning of the show, when we were talking about the actual practices of modern day of the occult, they're so different than the stuff in the movies, and the stuff in the movies is what people believe. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely crazy to me. Why do you think people believe this fictionalized version of this thing? And like, first of all, I think that the church has a lot to do with it. They're trying to demonize something that's a different way of thinking than what they're used to, right? They're trying to... The Roman Empire kind of used Christianity to kind of take over the world, you know, when they adopted it. I mean, this was a pagan religion. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why do you think so many people believe this, like, super demon, evil, witch-obsessed version of this stuff, Alicia?
I don't know. I guess just the same way that there's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there. It's kind of one of those, like, just superstitious fears that have plagued the back of a lot of people's minds for a long time, and it's easy to let your imagination run away with you when you're alone in a dark house and there's noises coming from the other room, you know? And so I think that it's just kind of one of those things where it's stuck around in this sensationalized version just because it's a little more fantastical than the truth.
What about you, John? What do you think?
Yeah, people do like to romanticize things, so I think the whole idea that there's two priests show up and they have to read from this passage and that they have the crosses and the theatrics. I think people like that, and they think that people just enjoy that. So if that's the concept, that how you actually exorcise demons, that's what people want. If somebody just showed up and was like, oh, I can take care of it, I just have to read this one line, or I just have to give them this pill, or I just, we can do it with the fucking phone. Just hand it up, phone the phone to her. I'll just say these two magical words. I don't know. It's again, I think it's theatrics. People like theatrics. Everybody wants theatrics. Why not with an exorcism?
Speaking of theatrics, Jumpin and Jivin James, what do you think?
It's what it is. It's not good.
All right, we want to thank you guys for listening. We're about to wrap up here, but let's get back to social media. We asked you what your favorite Halloween candies are. Timothy Warren says Rolos. Sarah Smith says Tootsie Rolls. Danny Davis, another vote for candy corn. Billy Wilburn said Banana Laffy Taffy, followed closely by Kit Kats. Drew Matson said anything with caramel. Richard Werder said candy corn. Candy corn's kind of popular, guys.
We're not talking about trick-or-treat candy. We're talking about Halloween candy in general,
Yes.
right? Because I don't know anybody that gives candy corn. It's not like you just get like you reach your hand. That just seems like a way.
They
That's a
sell
bad idea.
individual prepackaged bags of
Well,
it
that
that have
sounds-
like 15
That
pieces.
sounds terrible.
They do though. They do.
Whatever. It's made by Brock.
Sometimes it's in the the mix bag.
Yeah.
It'll be like a couple chocolate bars and then like 20 bags of those.
When I was a kid, we used to go trick or treating in this one particular neighborhood because there was a house that had a reputation for giving out. I'm not kidding. Cans of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, a guy down the street from me gave out Pepsi, but I'm from the north where we have better soda.
Whatever.
Oh,
There's a Coca-Cola bottling company here in Huntsville, and this guy worked there, and so he would buy pallets of cans of Coke, and so we would go get lots of candy.
Yeah, that's where
and
you
then
want to go, man. A whole
Yeah.
damn can of soda.
Then
yeah.
go swing by this dude's house, get your can of soda, and then, vomit in your mom's back seat.
Speaking of soda and bottling companies, Jeff Shirley said bottle caps, not real bottle caps, but you remember.
Oh
bottle
yeah,
caps.
yeah. Was that
Yeah.
the liquid in it? Or I'm
No,
thinking something
those
else.
are the
Oh, no,
wax things. He's
yeah.
talking
Aren't they
about
like
the things.
spree?
They're kind of
Yeah.
like sweet tarts.
Yeah, they kind of
Yeah.
fizz up.
Yeah,
Remember?
they do fizz,
They fizz
yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, yeah. And the best answer of the night comes from David Bass. He says anything pumpkin shaped. That's a good
Word.
answer.
That covers a
is.
lot of
That's
candies.
a good answer.
Pumpkin-shaped meatloaf. We'll
Yeah.
test this theory.
With chocolate.
Candied.
All right, I want to get okay. Everybody here at the table, then I want to know what your favorite Halloween candy is. Everybody else answered, so Hammertime Holshoe.
I would say my favorite candies just miniaturized. Same thing. Little Snickers, little Reese's cups, little Reese's cups.
All right, all right. Alliterative Alicia.
Yeah, them Reese's pumpkins. Year round, my favorite candy is the special Reese's.
Isn't just a regular Reese's that shape differently?
But there's a different ratio of chocolate to peanut
Yeah,
butter,
there's
my
a little bit
friend,
different.
and it is a whole new world
A lot
of
more peanut
deliciousness.
butter, I'm assuming.
There's way more
Okay.
peanut butter.
Speaking of a whole new world of deliciousness, Jumpin and Jivin James. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
I mean, I obviously have to agree. I love pumpkin-shaped peanut butter
Yes.
with chocolate. But I also do like the caramel apple lollipops.
Oh yeah, we have some at the table here. Those are delicious. I love those. I love the Reese's pumpkins. These ghosts that we have in front of us are pretty cool. Not the hugest candy corn fan, but I like the different flavors of candy corn that we have now. I do like those little orange and black
You're the one.
peanut butter
You
caramel
son of a
things.
bitch.
You know,
I
and that
do.
had a little bit of crunch in them too.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I do like
A little bit of a
those.
crunch. You lose your damn tooth on those things.
No.
I
think
lost
we're
my tooth
thinking
in an
different
hour later.
ones.
But I also love those caramel squares. I
Just
used to
like
get
a
those out.
square.
The
Yeah.
little caramel
Yeah, those
squares.
little caramel squares.
I thought that was like baking.
Like the generic
baking-
candy.
yeah.
Like this doesn't even have a label on it.
Oh,
I don't know where
man, I
this
used to
came
like that.
from.
I used to like those things. Anyway. And pumpkin balls. Popcorn balls. Why did I say
Pumpkin?
I said pumpkin balls like you said earlier.
Popcorn ball. What
Those
are
are
you
the
talking
male
about?
pumpkins, pumpkin balls.
We want to thank you guys for listening. We hope you have a happy Halloween. Hope you enjoyed listening to the show. We enjoyed performing it for you. Rockin' with Rockin Robbie is coming back. Our next episode will be The Wonderful World of Wood. That's going to be an exciting show. Oh, yeah. What? Anyway, also stay tuned. Of course, Pop Culture Philosophers. The next episode will be Disney movies. John, you excited?
To talk about Tron, hell yeah, I am.
Of course you are. We want to thank you guys for joining us for this absolutely fantastic 5th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. With me has been Alliterative Alicia.
Thanks again for having me, y'all.
Hammertime Holshoe.
It's been keen. I think I ate too much candy, though.
My co-host Jumpin and Jivin James.
It has been a pleasure.
And I am Rockin' Robbie. You have been listening to Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. We'll be back. Wonderful World of Wood. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for rocking with us. Happy Halloween!
Woo!